Hi, botany students. This is Professor Fernetovich here. I just wanted to add my voice and my face to one of my favorite topics in lecture, which is seeds and fruits. This is a lot of fun, and this is going to help you with your lab this week. Part of your lab will be dissecting two fruits at home of your choosing. So as we go through this, you can get some ideas for what you want to dissect, and you can learn a little bit more about the anatomy of seeds and fruits. So before we get into fruits, let's look at seeds for a minute. And one type of plant called gymnosperms have naked seeds. Gymno means naked, sperm means seed. And this picture is showing the scales of a pine cone with the seeds that have come out. And you can see they have little wings to them and they have a tough center. They sort of look like a maple tree samara, which is the seed of a maple tree with those little helicopters. And ashes also have that type of seed as well. That helps them to disperse in the wind. These naked seeds for the pine are produced in the pine cone and can fall out at maturity for the pine cone or sometimes after a fire. Fires can loosen the resin of a pine cone. The heat can melt kind of that sap, allowing the pine cone to expand and the seeds to fall out. So that can happen with certain species of pines that are adapted to a fire condition. Angiosperms, or the flowering plants, have seeds that are enclosed in fruits. And the fruits are derivatives of ovaries and ovules. We're going to see this is a daffodil fruit with seeds inside it. There are lots of seeds in there, and fruits can have single seeds or multiple seeds. Fruits may protect the seeds and also help to disperse them. Here is not a pineapple, a coconut seed inside a husk. The whole thing is called the fruit, and the part that you eat with that white meat to it is the coconut seed. So you can see that there's a difference in texture with that coconut, and that's the uh, showing the difference between the fruit and the seed here. Fruits form from the ovaries of pistils in flowers. So fruits are found in angiosperms only, the flowering plants. The gymnosperms have the pine cones or the coniferous the bodies, but those aren't considered flowers or fruits. Fruits come from ovaries and pistils in flowers only. A simple pistil has one carpel. Pistil's the odd name for the female reproductive organs of a flower. And it includes the stigma, which is the very outermost part of that pistil. It's usually sticky to receive pollen. There is a style, which is the little structure between the stigma and the ovary, and then the ovary. The ovary can have a thick wall or a thin wall. It can be above the base of the flower or embedded in the base of the flower. And this picture shows a pea flower on the left and then the developing fruit with seeds enclosed in it on the right. Compound pistils have more than one carpel. So these are female reproductive structures that have multiple pistil parts, and that results in fruits that have sections to them, such as this pepper. So on the picture on the left, you can see there are 3 stigmas sticking up top. Each one has a tube going down to the ovary, and pollen can be deposited on each of those 3 pistils. The pollen travels down through the style into the ovary and can fertilize the eggs, which develop into the seeds inside the carpels, those sections of the ovary. Both simple and compound pistils make simple fruits. A simple fruit's a product of one pistil. So these can have different sections inside it. Simple fruits are shown here, and you might see that there's a bunch of diversity in these simple fruits. We've got the avocado, which just looks like one solid mass. We have a pea with several seeds in it, kiwis with many seeds, and you can see some segmentation in there, and then the obvious segmentation in the orange fruit. But these are all considered simple fruits, and you'll see the difference soon. Fruits, whether they're simple or complex, can be fleshy or dry. Dry fruits can be dehiscent or indehiscent, and that means that they can fall off or not fall off the plant. We've got some examples here. Plum, and a lot of the fruits that we eat and consider fruits in our diet are fleshy fruits. So apples, even though they can be a little tough, are fleshy. Oranges are fleshy. Anything that has that water content and is fairly soft is fleshy. And then we have some dry fruits, the maple samaras, like I mentioned earlier, fruits of the maple tree, not something we would eat, but it is containing a seed inside that. It came from a flower. And then we've got milkweed right below there, which is a dry dehiscent fruit. Oddly enough, many dry, indehiscent fruits that usually stay on the plant are considered seeds in everyday language. So the corn kernel is called a seed, but botanically, this is the fruit of the plant. It contains the developing embryo, which is shown in kind of like that. I should use this hand, the bottom right hand side of the corn. And then we have endosperm, which can feed that developing embryo, enclosed in a pericarp, and an aleurone and a scutellum, which help to protect that embryo. So remember, simple fruits are the result of one pistil and one ovary. Some fruits are not simple. So here we're going to look at some of those complex fruits that have various names. And one example here is a strawberry. So a strawberry is a fleshy fruit, but it's not a simple fruit. See all those parts inside the flower. We see the white petals, of course, 6 white petals, surrounding multiple anthers. I can see that they're anthers because we have a stamen, those thin tubes with the pollen sacs on the end, the kind of swollen, larger part of the reproductive area. But then when you look towards the very center of that flower, you can see lots of yellow areas, and those are the different stigmas for the plant. So those are the female parts with the male parts kind of around the edge of the inner part of the flower. Strawberry is considered an aggregate fruit. So here we've got the strawberry flower on the left, and then the fruit on the right, showing that there's several seeds on the outside of the fruit. This is very interesting. It's not usual for that to happen. So strawberries, even though we can buy them at the grocery store year-round, they're very common, and we can grow them in our gardens here in the Northeast. They have this botanical interest of being an aggregate fruit. Seeds on the outside with a fleshy receptacle. Oh. The raspberry is also an aggregate fruit, and when you look at that flower picture on the left, you can see how it resembles the strawberry flower in the previous slides. We've got white petals, obviously similar. And then when we look towards the inside of the flower, you can see the the male reproductive parts, the stamens, and with the pollen on the outside, and then all those little kind of fibers coming out from the center showing the stigma style leading to the ovary of the flower. So here we have an aggregate fruit with lots of, some people call them fruitlets, making up the actual raspberry. So this is a single flower with many pistils, many female parts to it, all becoming little individual fruits with seeds inside each of those little clusters. While simple and aggregate fruits both develop from single flowers, multiple fruits develop from more than one flower. So this shows it nicely that we can have a simple fruit coming from the flower on the left, where even if we have some multiple stigmas, they're all leading to one ovary. That ovary can be segmented, like in an orange plant or kiwi, or we could have multiple ovaries leading to an aggregate fruit. Here, each ovary has its own set of pistils, or we could have multiple flowers along an inflorescence. Each flower has its own reproductive assembly and can be fertilized individually. So what kind of plants are multiple fruits? Well, pineapple is one example of a multiple fruit. We've got a pineapple in the greenhouse. It's probably looking a lot like that one on the left. Small pineapple growing right now. And then the mature pineapple on the right. And this is actually the result of multiple flowers along a stem. So when you see those protrusions on the outside of a pineapple fruit, each one is the remnant of the flower that it was a part of. So they're kind of like diamond shaped. Each one is where we have its own ovary, its own flower part, clustering together along the central stem. And here's another example with some multiple fruits. We've got black mulberry with numerous female flowers shown on the left, resulting in the multiple fruit on the right. Now, mulberries look a lot like raspberries, but the way that they are formed through that multiple female flower assemblage makes them very different. When you have a mulberry, you can actually, they're not that common, but they do grow around here. Some people have them in their gardens or have planted them as fruit trees. They're interesting. But when you slice it open, it doesn't have the hollow part that a raspberry does. It's solid all the way through, similar to what a pineapple is. Figs are also multiple fruits, and this is another one that we have in the greenhouse. Figs are wasp pollinated, and sometimes we get a little annoyed by the wasps in the greenhouse, but what they're doing is pollinating the fig flowers. They have a certain scent that attracts wasps. So here we've got, we don't have a very good picture of the flowers of the fig, but we've got the anatomy of the fig and what it looks like with a longitudinal section. So that is what I wanted to show you regarding fruits and flowers. For your lab this week, I'd like you to, like I said at the beginning, choose 2 fruits that you have at home and dissect them. And I'd like you to do a cross section going through the middle and a longitudinal section. You're welcome to take photographs and insert them into your document if you'd like, or you can sketch them and put them into your document. More info on that will be on the Moodle page. Thank you.